Let me show you PlayStation fanboys of today and show you PlayStation fanboys of a few years ago. And I'll let those PlayStation fanboys of a few years ago own the PlayStation fans of today in making sure to render their arguments as kind of pointless in most cases and useless, I guess. Jamie's ACT, oh man, chronic fanboy, says PS5 Pro enhanced. Let's go. And on the whole thing, they got Expedition 33, they have the Oblivion game, and they have all these other games. Now, this person, Jamie, always does this, or Jamie's, and basically has to throw shade at Xbox. Like in this comment, they showed these two PlayStation games, they threw shade at Xbox. Anything they do, official Bethesda trailer, blah, 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 blah. Then you had another one the other day who was talking a little bit about, I think it was something else, when it came down to somebody asking about the exclusives that some, Nintendo fan was challenging and said Metroid Prime Beyond Switch 2 is visually stunning, blah, 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 blah. No game on PlayStation can do this or whatever. And they went ahead and showed a series of these so-called exclusive games. Now, here's the thing. A lot of these people, they somehow think that the value of a game or the exclusivity of a game actually increases its value, or it makes it a little bit more valuable than it actually is. But the reality is that's not the case. And I'll go all the way back in 2020 and show you this conversation that ensued between a guerrilla producer and a PlayStation fanboy who claimed that the success that was built by PlayStation was done on the basis of outstanding exclusives, and that when you scrap exclusivity, it diminishes the brand value. To that PlayStation producer, former producer at Gorilla, said, the company built success by hard work and talent, owned by Sony, so being exclusive was a fact. But they're able to release on PC shows the belief that they have in their game and the ability to execute on a platform that they haven't shipped on in years. These people want Xbox players to be miserable. But the problem is, it doesn't make any sense to be miserable, especially when you have all these games basically flooding your ecosystem. Why? You don't have time to be for misery. You only are looking at your clock and saying this backlog is insane, so your troubles is actually trying to wade your way through the backlog. So misery is not anywhere close. Maybe it could be at the end of this backlog, but Xbox is saying, I dare you to get rid of this backlog in due time. So now, those so-called PlayStation fans that want to make it seem like exclusivity was this thing are now going to hear from PlayStation fans, in some cases back then, who would say things like, outstanding games, nothing to do with them being exclusives. Or this person that said in March 11, 2020 said, the brand value was achieved through the quality of the product, not artificial scarcity. This person said, why being exclusive is so important. Being exclusive excludes other people from enjoying the same game that you love and played back in your day. Valuing something more because others don't have it, or getting angry when they will have the chance to have it, doesn't make sense to me. Interesting stuff. This person said, so a game developer's success is built on how few people can enjoy the game? Might be a smidge wrong there. This other person said, in short term, exclusivity is good for console manufacturers to give people the reason to buy the game. In long term, it's bad for game preservation because once the hardware is no longer in production, there are a fixed supply of platforms on which to play the game. Interesting. Someone said, so you're inferring people only bought Horizon because it had a PlayStation logo on it. Very epic. Oh my gosh. There is not a sensible case that can be made for exclusivity at the time that Horizon Zero Dawn was announced to be going to PC, and some PlayStation fanboys were basically crying about it. And so when I see the ones that are actually trying to make fun of Xbox players for having their games be on PlayStation, I just go back and I pull the receipts and just say, hey, guys, you might want to go argue with your PlayStation fellow fans, or maybe even people on the internet who are basically making a strong case to show that whatever it is that you're trying to argue here is quite ironic. And what's crazy is when you look at all the games that's actually on that's been installed on this Jamie's ACT's PlayStation 5 screenshot, what you realize is there's not a single PlayStation game on there. Oh wait, sorry. I don't know what to make of Death Stranding. Okay, guys, can y'all help me? Is it a PlayStation game or is it not a PlayStation game? Because the last I heard, it was a PlayStation game, but Kojima bought it, and so it's no longer a PlayStation game. So after Kojima bought it and it stopped being a PlayStation game, then they put it on Xbox. Okay. Anyways, most of the games are not PlayStation games, with a question mark on this one. Whether or not it's a PlayStation game, we have no idea. This whole thing about console warring, I highlighted just so that I can show you, ladies and gentlemen, that we've passed that phase where anybody may be worrying about some box. Why? Because you can get any box to play games these days. It's not really a big deal. If you really want to get games, go build a box. Go buy one from Micro Center. Go buy one at Walmart. They can get you a box and can play everything. And that's a PC. And now it's getting more and more ubiquitous, with more and more people basically dialing into the ecosystem. The whole talk about the console war thing has faded. And I told y'all that exclusivity was dead. I told you guys that console war was dead, right? I told y'all that this was going to be the trend that we were going to be seeing as time went on, simply because the market was shifting. The competition had been stiff around the PlayStation 4 times. Even then, people didn't really realize nor believe that Xbox was actually in the running, not realizing that they basically had looked and said, hey man, we're beaten here. Let's go ahead and take this whole generation to build. And even though some things did not come into fruition as the Xbox Series generation came out, you could tell that those plans were probably hindered by them not being able to identify anything of value that they thought was, relevant to them. And so when Bethesda was a possibility, they snagged that fast. And when Activision was a possibility, they snagged that fast. It just happened to be that they were a few years into the generation. However, as we're kicking off the next generation going in, a lot of people are going to have hard decisions to make. And these hard decisions are going to include, where do I want to go ahead and spend my time gaming? Where do I feel like my money is actually being valued? If I buy one game, where do I get multiple versions of it? Up to about 3 versions, a cloud version, a console version, and a PC version. A lot of people are going to start thinking differently about how they do it. Where do I have options where if I don't want to spend money in playing a game, it's not because I don't have the money, but sometimes you just want to prioritize other things. But it doesn't hinder you because of whatever you want to prioritize. I think a lot of people are going to start thinking about the possibility that Xbox might be a place for them to be able to at least go and play their games. Now, I'm not saying that they're all going to move to Xbox. Don't go around saying that. I'm just saying that they will start considering, based on the fact that this whole so-called console war thing is a goner. And some people might take advantage of the fact that, well, if I don't want to buy an Xbox and limit myself anymore, I might as well just go ahead and get a PC, which will give me access to PlayStation games and give me access to Xbox games day one, and I can pretty much own my device and do whatever it is that I wish to do with that device. Gaming has changed. No longer are people going to be hiding and just making stuff up anymore. And I'm glad that we're here where there's now common sense prevailing over the madness and the nightmare that's been a thing all this while. Thank you for watching the video. Talk to me in the comment section. Peace out.